Just going to let me record. Yep. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Raw Online Report. Today's guest needs no introduction, but I'm going to give him one anyway. He is the man who was Mr. Olympia when I fell in love with the sport of bodybuilding many years ago. He's 8-time Olympia champion. Totally awesome. Lee Haney. Welcome.
Hey, Ron. How you doing, my man?
Doing great. I'll get rid of this banner real quick. Subscribe, like, share, do all that good stuff for my channel, guys. Helps me out a lot. And I want to show you something before we get started that I don't know if you've seen. So Netflix has a documentary on about Vince McMahon. It's called Mr. McMahon. Mm-hmm. And I just want to show you this one picture from it that I took off the screen. Can you see that?
Oh, man. Yeah. That's awesome.
For those of you who can't make it out, that's Vince McMahon wearing a Lee Haney's Animal Kingdom Fitness Center t-shirt.
Wow.
That was a gym that, what years did you own that gym from? Lee?
Man, I had it from probably 1986 all the way through maybe 1993, 92, something like that. Yeah.
So it was a very, very well-known gym. You had all kinds of athletes, celebrities, and everything training there. You know, Atlanta's a hotbed. You had a lot of pro wrestlers coming out of that place at the time, and I guess Vince must have been one of them. Do you remember him being there?
Man, I don't.
Okay.
But that's fantastic. Seeing the shirt there, man. You know, we had Bruce Springsteen, the Boss trained there, you know, when he was in town for his concerts. We had Hulk Hogan and Zeus, Tiny Lester. They shot part of the film No Holds Barred there. They had a fight scene there. So, man, we had a lot of good stuff going on at Adam McKay.
Wow. I also wanted to show one thing I know a lot of younger viewers may not remember. You know, it's not their fault. They weren't alive. They weren't going to be born for a long time. But this was the first Mr. Olympia contest I ever attended. This was fall of 1991 in Orlando, Florida. This was Lee's 8th and final Mr. Olympia win. Age 31, guys, 8 Olympia titles, retired at the very best condition, overall look you ever had. Went out on top, brought the wife in. I think you only had Olympia at that time, or Josh?
Well, I had both of them at that time.
Oh, you had both. Yeah, so both of them were up on stage.
Yeah, Josh was 3, and I think Olympia was just ready to turn 1. Not fully 1 yet.
Okay. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, this is how I wish every champion could go out the way you went out, young, with your whole life ahead of you, with your health, your joints, everything intact. Yeah. And I mean, here we are today, 33 years later. You're still not only alive and kicking, but, you know, great spirits, great health, no crazy injuries, mentally sharp, all that good stuff. So, yeah, you were certainly a role model in so many ways, Lee. And I really hope a lot of the modern bodybuilding champions sort of see the example that you set, and they try to at least let a little bit of it leak into their own lives in the way that they handle their careers.
Yeah, that's what it's all about, Ron. I want, at the end of the day, my legacies to be one that help bolster the knowledge of these young athletes coming up, you know, not only on the stage, but also off the stage, you know, because life continues even when you step away from the stage. But while you're there, have a great time, do things that make sense, take care of your health, because your health is your wealth. Yeah. You know, you want to, at the end of the day, be able to capitalize on all of those different areas, you know, use your finances wisely. That's something important. I was sharing at a meeting last weekend at one of the NPC events, telling athletes, you know, how important it is to think about economizing all of those hard work and sacrifice. You know, I always share with them, look, I got 8 Mr. Olympia trophies. I don't care how many spices I put on them, I still can't eat them. So how do I turn this into a way to make a living? You know, and so that's something I always press upon the young athletes to have in mind.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, I don't know who it was exactly, so I don't know which Mr. Olympia, and even if I did, I wouldn't say, but there was an actual Sandow trophy or Olympia trophy. I think it was one of the Sandows that one of the past Olympians was trying to sell. So that goes to show you that not every great champion has been, I don't know, as financially prudent with their winnings and all that stuff. So yeah, guys, take care of your health, take care of your money, take care of all that good stuff. Because my goodness, yes, unless you don't plan to be around that long. But Lee, you are, let's see, 64 now.
Yeah, 64. I'll be 65 next month.
Wow, that's right, November.
Almost ready for Social Security. Tip. That's what that's about, to a tip.
Yeah, well, I think Social Security, they raise it up to like 67 or 68 or something now. I don't know what it is.
I think about 60. Well, it all depends. It all depends, I'm looking at 65. I know 66.
Fair enough.
So because there's certain financial categories you have to fall into in order to start to draw that. Of course, I'm not considered a poor guy.
Right. Well, that's a good thing, I mean,
hey, that's a real good thing because you sow your seeds early. And Ron is one of the things that I wanted to press upon and looking at maybe putting together. When you got people like Jay Cutler, Ronnie, Sean, a lot of the guys, that's out there, Rich, Lee. We made very good decisions early in our careers. And as a result of good planning financially and family-wise, we're in a good place today. Yeah. That's very, very important. You're not going to be young forever. And, as big as my muscles was when I walked off the stage in 1991, I'm just a tab of what that guy used to be. Yeah. So, having it to still provide for me, and leave me in a good place at this time is very important. So, and again, I'll try to emphasize this type of mindset to the young athletes, When even before I won the Mr. Olympia, one of the things that I sort of took a page out of Arnold's book, I started buying up real estate. And, buying some here, there, I'll do a guest appearance and I'll buy some more over here, investing. And as a result of that, I've made, I'm in a great place, So, but that's because of making good, wise decisions, not hanging out at happy hour, taking the can down the road and breaking my plate when I eat, Yeah,
all right. Well, we are 1 week away from the 60th annual Mr. Olympia contest. 60 years. Wow. So real quick, these are the front runners. These are the guys who won it the last 2 years. We got Hadi Choopan, who was the 2022 champion, Derek Lunsford, the 2023 and reigning Mr. Olympia champion. Similar type of physiques. They're both about 5'5" or 5'6" feet tall, stacked with muscle, somewhere around 230 to 240 pounds on stage. For that used to be the weight in the 80s of a 6-foot bodybuilder, and now that's standard for a guy who's significantly shorter. They're not blocky. They don't have big guts or anything, but they're not what we would have considered back in the day classical or aesthetically super pleasing. Let's just, I'm a fan of all the physiques, as I'm sure you are too. We appreciate all the hard work, but, and I don't like to use the M word because I'm a shorter statured guy myself at 5'7.5", but people sort of yearn for a time when Mr. Olympia was a taller guy with a smaller waist. Yourself, 5'11", about 255 pounds at your best with I think you had a 30-inch waist or something, 31-inch waist.
Yeah, 31.
31. Wow. For a guy that's 255 pounds in great condition, that's just spectacular. So we do have a couple guys now that are sort of in that mold that have the potential. They've both been top 5. So last year, this gentleman we're going to look at was here's Samson Dauda from the Arnold Classic when he won it last year. He just won another show in France, but he was 3rd place at the Olympia last year. Samson is about 6 foot tall. He's right around 300 pounds on stage, but look at that waist. Does not have a gut.
Nope.
Great V taper, sweeping quads. And there's a phrase that you came up with many years ago, Excalibur, which is obviously a reference to, the legendary, the King Arthur legend with the sword and the stone and the mythology of Camelot, and there's that great movie Excalibur back a long time ago that you posed to that theme, O Fortuna, just a really majestic, powerful anthem with the chorus and the orchestra and everything. But tell me about what it means, because you've used that phrase. For those who aren't familiar with how you've implemented that phrase in a bodybuilding setting, what is Excalibur? What does that mean to you, Lee?
Well, in my opinion, and the way I view Excalibur, is being the best of the best. I mean, to have a physique that's well-pleasing, everything is where it's supposed to be, muscle maturity, great lines, shoulder, waist taper, great balance, a thing of beauty, art, engineered with perfection. And to be an Excalibur doesn't mean you have to be a tall, big guy. Frank Zane, in my opinion, was the Excalibur. Beautiful lines. Something that everybody would put everybody in awe of, and again, it's not about size. Lee Labrada was an Excalibur. Lee wasn't a big guy, but everything flowed and it fit. And Lee walked to the stage and began his presentation. Man, it was mind-blowing. And I see that same sort of thing when I look at Samson and I look at Andrew Jack. Yeah. I like the fact that they have size, great muscle size, but at the same time, they have a beautiful taper that goes along with it. That's what I embody as being an Excalibur. When you look at physiques like a Hottie, and you look at Derek, they are in a sort of that's a different category. I wouldn't mind if there was two different categories. Really? I think those guys, with that type of physique is a certain look, and they work hard and they should be rewarded for their work. But at the same time, you can't have a Samson and also an Andrew not be not be in that top two, I feel, when they have that combination of height and muscle separation, and their physique flows so much better. When I look at guys, when you're 5'9", 5'8", 5'6", and you're wearing 300 pounds, that's rushed muscle. There's nowhere in the world it's going to look great. It's just not. But again, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. So the bodybuilding world, if it's saying, and when I say the world, I say the judges are saying, okay, this is what we want to see, and so that's where we are. But I would like to see, and I think a lot of the world would like to see, in the bodybuilding world, for instance, to see that Excalibur look put back where it should have never left. So in order to do that and appease everybody, I think there need to be a second category. During Arnold and Franco day, you had that. I know they got the 212, which when you look at the 212 division, and again, these guys, the guys there, incredible physiques. And again, you have that height difference. But when you come to the open, there's no differentiation in it. Right. But the look is totally different. It took me from 1984 to 1954, 1984 to 1991 to put on 11 pounds. And I did that by purpose. It was by design to make sure I maintained that 31.5-inch waist, the shoulder and the waist ratio, the balance, the muscle maturity, all of that had to be there. That's what bodybuilding was told to me I'm supposed to look like. But it's saying something different now. And that difference is, I don't think it has enhanced the projections of our sport. I don't think it's a thing of beauty that the general public say, man, I want to look like that. I wanted to look like Arnold. I wanted to look like Robbie. I wanted to look like Frank Zane. So you really have to look at it. And then when you go into the classic physique, you have, you got Chris Bumstead, and people love what they see in the way of Chris. I mean, Chris looked beautiful.
Yeah.
People love those lines, and that sells, that popularizes our sport. But then I just saw a picture of Nick that just showed, well, Nick is in the same category as Hottie and also Derek. So it's like, you have a lot of guys within that category. And so is that what the general public want to see? Is that what the world of bodybuilding really appreciates? So I could really see another category being created. I just don't agree with where things are now, as far as that always being the package that we end up with in the Mr. Olympia.
Interesting, because we could make the argument that classic physique, which was implemented 8 years ago, that was sort of a response to what we were seeing in bodybuilding, open bodybuilding, where the guts were getting out of control. It was a lot of squatty, real thick physiques. And I don't want to use Nick I don't think Nick's, he's got a great fan base, and rightfully so. I appreciate all types of physiques. This is a very rugged, very thick, powerful physique. It's not a pretty physique. It's not, aesthetically pleasing in the way that an Andrew is, or a Samson, or certainly like a Bumstead or a Romandino. But, what would you do for bodybuilding? Would you do short and tall classes? Would you do open? Would you do maybe another class called classical bodybuilding? I'm just not sure how to make it work.
Well, Chris is classical bodybuilding. You just say classic physique. It's still classic bodybuilding. I was classic bodybuilding. Sean Ray was classic, but Kevin Liverone, Rich Gaspar, we were classic bodybuilding. So it can't be, I don't think it need to be characterized by weight. It need to be characterized by the aesthetics of it. So I think when you talk about Hottie, Derek, and you talk about Nick, that is a particular category that I think need to exist. Yes, it need to exist, because I like the fact that there's something for everybody in the sport of bodybuilding. There's a category for everybody. Yeah. I don't think the taller guys need to be put in the same class as the guys that are not as tall and don't sweep, and their body don't sweep as well as yesteryear, put it that way.
Well, so I'm glad you brought up two examples, Frank Zane and who was the other one you mentioned that weren't taller guys, like Mohammed Makaway, Lee Labrada. These guys were well under 6 foot, but they had that Excalibur look.
That's right.
The general public, you could show them pictures or videos of these guys, and they wouldn't be disgusted. They'd be like, "Wow, that looks great." But you show most people somebody with the thickness of a Derek or a Hottie or a Nick Walker, and they're going to be like, "Whoa, that's too much. That's yikes. That's just, it's not a positive reaction unless we're talking about our little cult of bodybuilding. We appreciate it, but most people were just not find that appealing."
Exactly. And so it's all about, well, do we want to market who we are, and can it grow in the present state that it's in, and that's the real question. That's something that Ben and Joe worked real hard to establish, going outside of our community and drawing more people in. We'll just draw them in. For hardcore bodybuilders, I think maybe yes, but bodybuilding is a small world.
Yeah.
If you want to invite others into our world, then it has to be something that's appealing to the general public. When you go to the newsstands, as I did years ago, I would rush to the newsstands, and man, I couldn't wait to pick up the latest, magazine and so forth.
Yeah.
And now when I go to the newsstands, what I see now is people who have the look of physique and classic physique. There's nobody on any magazine stands that I've seen in the US that looks like what we presently have is the Mr. Olympia top 3, top 4.
Right.
It just don't exist.
Yeah. Well, I mean, MD was the last print magazine, and MD went out of business. It's been almost a year now. We were the last one that had bodybuilders, big open bodybuilders on the cover. You don't have any more bodybuilding magazines because it just wasn't marketable. I feel like they added all those extra divisions over the years, the women's divisions, men's physique, classic physique, women's bikini, figure, fitness, gosh, it goes on and on, wellness. So that definitely made the sport grow, and it kept the sport alive. I think if it had only stayed with men's and women's bodybuilding the way it was for so many years, when you were during your reign, and when I was a young fan coming up, I don't know if bodybuilding would even be around anymore right now. I don't know if it would.
Yeah, that's really something to consider there. There was a day that with the wide world of sport, ESPN, we had a lot of major companies that was curious and that welcomed, watching us and being a part of our world. Well, that doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah. So I guess the final thing I want to talk about with the Olympia is, can these guys win? Could Samson or Andrew win? I know if you were judging, you would certainly not be averse to giving them a first place vote. It seems to have come down to almost like a shredded glutes contest, which, Samson's never really had crazy, freaky condition. And, interesting, Jake Wood actually, in an interview on Olympia TV that I was part of the panel a couple weeks ago, he said he'd like to see the emphasis come away from really extreme condition. He doesn't think it's healthy. He says it's the laziest way to judge. Anybody can look at a lineup and say, that guy's the most ripped because his glutes are the sharpest and, the striations are the deepest. But it's a total
I agree with that. I agree with that 100%. I definitely agree. You got to look at the total package. The presentation is something that should be a determining factor. Then symmetry should be a determining factor. Then muscle maturity. So all 3 of those should be scored upon. Balance, symmetry, all of that. Not just whoever got the tightest glutes or who looked like death warmed over standing on stage, which really hurts the sport. Every time we lose an athlete because of, trying to reach that particular type of conditioning, it poses a danger. And, it's just not a good thing to push and promote. Every time you reward something like that, it pushes more and more athletes to say, okay, this is what I got to look like. And at the end of the day, your kidney is shot, possible embolism, with the brain, heart disease, all kinds of things can come about from that. Yeah. So I agree with what Jake is saying, 150%. But now you just got to get the judges on board with that.
Yeah. So Lee, if you were judging the 2024 Mr. Olympia, assuming everyone's in comparable condition, no one's out of shape, you got Derek and Hadi, they're going to be in shape. Let's say that Andrew and Samson, maybe not quite as crisp in the glutes, the butt, one small area of the physique. I know I'm leaving other important people out, but we're just trying to focus on a few people here. Those 4 guys, personally, what would you feel deserves the Mr. Olympia title the most out of Andrew, Samson, Derek, and Hadi?
For me, it's always got to do with symmetry, balance, presentation. That's what I look for. That small waist, nice flaring lats, balanced thighs, balanced calves, and no overshadowing body parts.
Yeah.
So you look here, when you look at Jack and you look at Samson, I see that in both of their physiques. Well balanced, great symmetry. But I see, and like say the other category, and again, eyes in the, beauty in the eye of the beholder. I see a physiques that look rushed, too compact, and these kind of physiques come a dime a dozen. It's rare that you see height with good symmetry. Yeah. That's what made Arnold the king of the hill for so long. That's what made me king of the hill for so long. Height, symmetry, balance, presentation.
Yeah. This if one of these two guys wins the Olympia, Samson or Andrew, it would be the first Mr. Olympia over 6 foot in 44 years. And we've only had one. Arnold was the only Olympia champion over 6 foot ever.
Yes, man, it is hard. It is hard to develop full muscle bellies when you carry that type of height. Guys of a shorter stature, and again, size is not that hard to get. But when you have longer limbs, more height, that it takes art. It takes knowing what you're doing. And it takes time. It don't happen overnight.
Yeah, I again, being a shorter guy myself, I certainly have nothing against the shorter guys, but even I have to admit, when an Andrew Jack walks out there and he's 6'2" and he's so wide and he's got such a crazy V taper in that X frame, you can't take your eyes off it. It's spellbinding.
It's impressive, and he's pretty. That's the thing. It's pretty. Yeah, it is what it is. Such as was with Arnold when he hit the stage. When you get a tall guy and his physique projects at the same time, it's hard to beat that. Yeah. Frank Zane wasn't a tall guy. Lee Dauda wasn't either, but they physiques projected because their lines were exactly where they needed to be. They were a thing of art, a thing of beauty.
Yeah. In fact, you know what Andrew Jack's nickname is that he gave himself?
What was that?
Let me see if I can find it on his Instagram. He calls himself the Mona Lisa of bodybuilding.
Yes, I like it. I like it.
I think he's even got the weight belt on there. I'm gonna find it for you.
I like it. I want to bring out something else. There's one other athlete, one in particular.
Yes.
And this young man started at my show. Keon Pearson.
Oh, okay.
Keon is not tall, but at the same time, he got a beautiful taper, lats flap, everything fits. So, when you put that kind of physique together, with good size, look at his taper.
Yeah.
That's Excalibur right there. And so you don't have to be a tall guy to be Excalibur. You just have to have the right package, and it should fit and it should flow. And it does with this young man. I'm extremely impressed with him.
Yeah, it's interesting. He's the current 212 Olympia champion, but
that's right.
Both of the top two, Hadi Choopan came to us from the 212 division. Derek was the 212 Olympia champion the year before he switched over to open in 2022 and took second. I personally could see Keon a little more size. I don't think he needs much more size, just a few more pounds. And I could see him following in their footsteps and going on to either become an Mr. Olympia champion, or certainly top 3 guy very, very quickly.
You got beautiful lines.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, man, I wish all of the athletes well. And again, I want to see these guys do great. I want to see them, flourish in their finances and making good decisions about investing, because you're only there for a certain period of time. So make your money, guys. Have a great time. Enjoy the journey. That's what it's all about. When you look at Tom Platts during his era, Tom never won the Mr. Olympia, but Tom was a very smart businessman. I really admired that about Tom. And he took those freaky legs and took them around the world and made a lot of jack. Yeah. At the end of the day, that's what matters. Walking off the stage and being financially set when this is all over.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that, because Tom was in Boston about a month ago. He did an appearance at, I don't know if you know, American Nutrition Center, Steve Cardillo, who makes all the custom belts.
Yes.
For the pros. He came to his place out in Everett, Mass, and there was a huge crowd of people there to meet him. And I'm always surprised when young people who weren't even born when you guys were in your heyday, that they're not only aware, but they'll go out of their way to come and see and get pictures and autographs and things like that. So it's refreshing. But yeah, the Golden Eagle still going strong.
Yes.
All right, it's time to turn our attention to the 10th annual Lee Haney Games, happening November 2nd, 2024 at the GAS South Convention Center in Duluth, Georgia. So wow, 10 years, Lee. Can you believe you've been doing this thing for 10 years now?
Oh man, time flies. And man, we've had so much fun doing it. You know, we've had athletes from all over the United States to come. Even had some athletes from other countries that is that's here in the United States that has came and participated in the show. And we've had a lot of fun doing it. You know, this year's event is very special. Fact is, we've been there for 10 years, and we've had the best sponsor you can think of. You know, High Tech Pharmaceuticals has been with me the entire ride. Jan Tanner's been there, you know, making sure the athletes are well taken care of. We got Benefits Resource Planning been with us. They and Associates, you know, a law firm. They've been with us the whole time. The Himmelgarten Racing Team, they won the Indy 500 a few years back. Also have super fitness centers there in Boston and Ohio. So they've been with us for a long time also. But man, we're just happy that we were able to bring such a first-class production to the world of bodybuilding. Great appreciation to Mr. Jim Mannion, my dear friend, and for making this possible. I love my NPC family. That's where I came from. That's who I represent. And we're looking forward to having a great time. Bob Chick is going to be there. Wow. Master of Ceremonies, the voice of bodybuilder, like always.
Yep.
And also for the class winners, we're going to be taking care of the application fee to whatever national event pro qualifier that they would like to enter.
Oh, wow.
So we're excited about it.
So you have obviously all the NPC categories, bodybuilding, fitness, figure, classic, men's physique, wellness, all that. What other sports and activities are going to be going on at this year's show?
Well, as you said, we'll have the bodybuilding, the physique, the bikini, you know, the fitness, classic bodybuilding. As I mentioned before, Keon Pearson started there with us. So we had some great champions came out of there. And then Barry Irving, Sporty, he's on the professional level now. And man, we're just going to have a fantastic time.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, guys, if you're anywhere in the Atlanta area, it's only a couple weeks after. And, you know, I've talked to a few people who have done the show. First class treatment for the athletes. I think you've had some people do it almost all 10 years.
Yes. We've had a lot of people return to come back. And, you know, we love having the athletes. We love making sure they feel comfortable with the event. So they leave with a real good positive experience about participating in our event. Because I got skin in the game. I've been there, done that. I know how athletes feel. I know how they think. So I welcome them all there.
Yeah. I was going to say, you know, promoters all work very hard, but I think there's an extra level of respect and appreciation that goes toward the competitors from guys like yourself who are veterans of the stage, and you know exactly what it's like to be up there and be backstage, and you make these people comfortable. You make them feel at home and at ease on you know, this is a day they're going to remember for the rest of their lives. Some of them have spent years leading up to this one moment on stage, and you know, you want to make it as special for them as you can. And by all accounts, you do that for them.
Yes. And then the other thing we're doing too, since it's got just a few weeks to go, I go online live. I do my lives Instagram, and I help the athletes with prep. So we're coming into the last 3 to 4 weeks or so. And so I'm going to showcase how to get tight for a show without endangering your health. So they can go to the official Lee Haney Instagram. I'll be coming online this upcoming Tuesday night, and I'll be sharing that information.
Okay. Yeah, let's get that up there. So guys, that is Lee's Instagram. That's the one you want to make sure you're following and getting notifications from. Lee_Haney_official. All the info for the actual event can be found at the website, Lee Haney. Did I spell it wrong again? Doggone it, Ron.
Yeah, LeeHaneyGames.com.
Hang on. I know I put an E in there. What am I doing wrong? I'm supposed to be a writer. It's awful. Let's try that again. Did I get it? There we go.
LeeHaneyGames.com. There we go.
If I can't spell Lee Haney, come on. I need to hang it up. So Yeah, it looks like it's going to be another great promotion, and you know, it's very cool of you to do this for all the athletes in your area, because said a lot of champions, they retire from the stage and they never have any involvement with the sport and the industry ever again. They get into other things, real estate or whatever, and you never hear from them again. You've stayed, you know, many years after you stepped away from the stage. You've stayed so active in, you know, encouraging people in the, not only with the IAFS certification, with your events, with everything that you do, your books, everything, just trying to keep getting that message out there of fitness, health, bodybuilding, something that changed your life for the better. And you've done so much to try to make it possible for other people to improve their lives through bodybuilding.
Yes, Ron, that's what it's all about, man. I know what bodybuilding has done in my own life, you know, my own personal journey. It made me the person I am today, you know, and so I like to share that same hope with others. Now, coming up this summer is going to be June. You'll see information coming up here pretty soon after the game is over. I don't want to confuse the two, but we're going to be showcasing a summer games.
Oh, wow.
This will include teenagers. Yes. It would be under the IAFS, my certification organization.
Yeah.
It will be showcasing teenagers as well as, you know, first timers and even those who have competed before. It will not be a sanctioned event. You know, we started this probably about even before we started with the NPC games.
Oh, wow.
We were doing this years ago. And so now we're bringing it back because right now there's no place for teenagers. And this could be a feeder organization into, you know, the NPC for young athletes to get their feet wet. We're going to have a whole training system set up where they'll have an understanding of training and understanding of nutrition. So this is the biggie with me, you know, training up the next group of young athletes and making sure they get good, solid, healthy information.
That is so critical, because I'm sure you're aware, social media is just a cesspool right now, where there are teenage kids on there with pages promoting drugs, all kinds of steroids, other PEDs, and really glamorizing it and sort of feeding into this lie that it's safe and it's fun. And there's not a lot of voices of reason out there. So anything any of us can do to sort of get these young people on the right track, you know, healthy eating, stay away from drugs as long as possible. And, you know, there's no reason to destroy your body when you're trying to create a work of art with your body. It doesn't even make sense. But
exactly. So, Ron, I'm looking forward to getting back on and talking about that as soon as we move forward with the games and get it in the pages.
Okay. All right. So once again, people, Instagram, you got your Lee_Haney official _ and Lee_Haney games. And of course, all the info at LeeHaneyGames.com. You can also find links on Lee's Instagram to the IAFS certification program that Lee's been doing a fantastic job on for years, getting great information out there about not just training to look good, but to be healthy and have everything looking good on the inside too.
Yeah.
Something a lot of people don't even think about. So the great 8-time Mr. Olympia Lee Haney, man. I can't thank you enough, Lee. Always a pleasure speaking with you. And looking forward to next time. Thanks for your time.
Well, thank you, Ron. I appreciate you and everything that you do for the world of bodybuilding. God bless you.
All right, everybody. Thanks for watching the Ron Line Report with Mr. Olympia, 8 times Lee Haney. We'll see you next time.